everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Kristie with AG Takes Over. Today's video, let me back up. I hope you're doing well, and this will be just kind of a chatty video. So a couple days ago, I don't know when this will air because I filmed things way in advance, but a couple days ago, Mattel's yearly earnings report came out. My wife reads the quarterly and yearly reports like every time they come out. I've never looked at one, but it's just something that she's interested in. So she was looking over the reports and, comparing AG's performance to the brand's performance, AG's performance pre-pandemic to during peak of pandemic, and now all of these things. And then a couple days later, we're mostly in the same American Girl Facebook groups, but she's in a couple that I'm not in. And she said in one of them, everybody was giving their own 2 cents about why their performance was down. So she was kind of sharing the drama with me of that. And we started talking about it. And I said, I'm not going to speculate on, it's because of this or it's because of that. But I mean, I can think of several reasons. Not that I think any one of these would account for like an actual measurable impact in their sales. I don't know. And not that any one of these is enough for somebody to leave the brand if they've been a loyal collector or have kids who are at that peak age and really into American Girl. But maybe a combination of some of these things that I'm going to mention are enough for people to leave the brand. And I'm not doing this to have it be like a controversial video. Some of the reasons that I'm going to mention are more controversial and some are not remotely so. It literally was just my wife and I laying in bed at night and talking about this and then starting to rattle off, well, maybe this and this, this is enough for some people and this bothers some people, whatever. They're kind of based on the complaints and the things that we hear. So keep the comments respectful. I'm not trying to open up a bigot bag, but yeah, and if there are things that I haven't mentioned, feel free to. I mean, some of the things are just my kid aged out of it, or we're going through rough financial times. But I was thinking more things that have to do with the brand and not people's life circumstances. So 10 reasons that came to me. It just happened to be around 10. The first one is the Harry Potter collaboration. So this one's pretty straightforward for most people. J.K. Rowling, who authored the series, and who benefits from the sales of licensed products, has repeatedly over the past several years expressed anti-trans views. So transphobic comments, this is pretty widely known. She funded a women's sexual assault support center in Edinburgh, Scotland, and excluded trans women from working there or receiving services there. So it's not just her views, there are actions behind them. And so many people are opposed to making purchases that might in some way benefit her financially. So this collaboration was obviously disappointing to them. And for some, from what I read and saw, that was enough. Maybe there were other frustrations, and that was enough to make them decide to leave the brand, or at least to stop buying new purchases that would benefit American Girl. The next one, and this is the exact opposite, is the body image book. I did my longest video so far on this channel was about this body image book. And it's the only video where I cry on camera. So if you want to go check that out. But the body image book that American Girl put out, they put out a whole series, if you're not familiar, of the caring and keeping of you, the making and keeping of friends, and homework and everything. So one of them is about body image. AG's body image book contains trans affirming information, is the way that I would categorize that, which some people have interpreted as pushing an agenda or pushing conversion or encouraging girls to be, encouraging them to reject their bodies. So those people typically see gender as binary, and AG covering the topic of gender in a way that wasn't limited to that binary is disappointing to them. So, and again, for some of them, that alone, that inclusivity in that book was enough to make them leave the brand. And again, maybe there were other things leading up to it, but just when I was brainstorming and thinking about lying in bed, what are reasons that I hear people being really upset and saying, like, that's it, that's the last straw. Doing something that could benefit a transphobic person with a lot of influence, putting out a book that has a lot of really good resources for kids who might be struggling with gender identity or who might be trans and need some resources and affirmation. So the next one, I think this is far less controversial, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. The painted lashes. But literally, it is enough for some people to decide they want to take their shopping dollars elsewhere. The lashes do represent sexism for a lot of people who don't like them, because realistically, these dolls are typically portraying ages 10 to 12. Lash thickness and lash length does not depend on gender, right? At all. There's no science that supports, like, people who are girls they have longer lashes or thicker lashes. But American Girl makes boy and girl dolls, and they decided to add painted lashes to every single girl doll new that they're creating and to none of the boy dolls. Sends lots of messages that this is what you should aspire to, even though this is what your natural lashes would be. For other people, the painted lashes make the dolls seem older. So they are reported in most cases, with the exception of some of the contemporary dolls, to represent girls as ages 10 to 12. And your lashes wouldn't typically be that thick. So that implies an addition of makeup, which for some people implies a little bit older characters. So for those people, if they've seen this as that transitional doll, which is what Pleasant Rowland originally described, is there was nothing between like little tiny baby dolls and Barbie, who represents an adult woman. They're looking for something in between, and they feel like this gets too close to the older ages. So yeah, I think that that's enough for some people. Other people, their issue with the lashes is they're just not well done. They feel that they're not well done. They don't like how they look aesthetically, and or they would prefer to have the option of choosing when they put them on, if they put them on, and how they look. Meaning, hey, if AG had started selling vinyl lashes, I would have been on board. But painting these things on, I don't want to do, and I don't want to pay a lot of money and then have to undo something by taking nail polish remover to their lashes. So that's 3 things that occurred to me. Another one, and this you just hear generally, I mean, maybe across all products in the world, things were better in the olden days, right? Decline in quality and quality control. Things like examples, I have not been collecting that long, just a couple years, really. And our doll got stained by the Diwali outfit when it came out. We had a struggle convincing them that this was actually their issue until enough people complained. But the first time they were like, it's not on us. And they did accept the doll into the hospital and replace her limbs for free. But they didn't pull that from the shelves, so they kept selling it. They created another run of it that apparently was going to solve the issue. I've heard that maybe didn't happen. The new run still has the issue, but they didn't pull the ones that they knew were defective and they knew would stain dolls. Claudie's headband, it's like kind of the gold and black outfit. It's a Harlem Fashion Row. It's not Claudie's collection, but it's the collection that was inspired by her and the 3 outfits that were from the Harlem Fashion Row collaboration. The black and kind of muted gold one has a headband, and somebody just posted the other day evidence that it's leaving dye transfer. Maritza's outfit, her meat outfit, the pants, if left on long enough, can can leave dye transfer. So there's all these evidence of dye transfer, which may have happened in the past, I don't know. But the perception is that it seems to be happening more frequently, and that American Girl is less concerned about doing something about it, about doing right by customers. Other examples: off-center eyebrows, uneven eyes like this or this, thinner wigs. The newer Truly Me dolls wigs are made out of a different material, and a lot of people feel like they're kind of greasy feeling and cheaper feeling. Any of the bigger ticket items tend to be lighter because they have more plastic and less wood and less metal if you compare them to earlier, Pleasant Company things. So this is a common refrain, but it might be getting to a point for some people where they're deciding, if I'm going to spend this much money, I'm going to look for brands that are still using higher quality products or better craftsmanship. Other things like quality things that I've heard a lot about. The Winter Princess outfit in 2021, I've said this, has a plastic tiara, and that was a pretty expensive doll to get a plastic tiara. We were in the American Girl store the other day and playing with Claudia's Bakery, but the handle that lifts up the oven door had already broken off. I filmed a little tour of the store recently and pointed out several things that had broken off on that gigantic KidCraft dollhouse. So yeah, I think that there are a lot of quality concerns, and if a customer has had a number of bad experiences quality-wise, that might be enough for them to throw in the towel. Change in molds, change in the face molds was I don't know, we're up to 5. I don't know, I'll put numbers up here so you can know what number we're on. Particularly Jess and Sonali, but I've seen videos arguing that pretty much every face mold has changed. I don't see it as much in Addie, but I definitely have seen classic mold. I think all of them have gotten thinner. So in that sense, you could say, yes, every one of them has changed. If you look at the face molds now versus the earliest iterations of them, every one of them is thinner. So are their bodies. But Jess's face mold, I think that the lower, not lid, but the under eye has gotten thinner. That it's just using less plastic, it seems like, so that part is thinner. The eyes are wider and less kind of football shaped. Sonali's eyes are more deep set and narrow set. So yeah, at the very least, if a customer is super frustrated with the changes in the mold, they might decide not to buy new dolls of that mold and get any of their Sonali molds or their Jess molds on the secondhand market, which could impact sales, obviously. The next one, I jotted these down. Too much diversity. So you can see this frustration on channels like Fox News and conservative YouTube channels, and in the comment section on American Girl's Facebook page and Instagram posts. People who feel this way are used to seeing themselves centered, and when that doesn't happen, they have a stronger reaction to it because they're not used to not being centered. So if you look at it like from the perspective of somebody who feels that way, in 2022 they released an Asian Girl of the Year and a Black historical doll, and then again in 2023 they released an Asian Girl of the Year. I'm trying to be neutral about these, but obviously y'all can guess how I feel about this one. So yeah, Kira had Queer Aunts, What's the World Coming To, AG's Body Image book, validated and supported trans kids. For people who are used to seeing white, cisgendered, heterosexual as the defaults, this seems to feel jarring and scary and even offensive for some. And if they are surrounded by people who are expressing those same fears and frustrations and offenses and whatnot, it's sometimes enough for them to decide they're going to take their shopping dollars elsewhere. And I want to say that doesn't matter, but also it's a lot of shopping dollars, unfortunately. So, on the flip side of that, the next reason that occurs to me that I see people deciding to throw in the towel with American Girl is not enough genuine diversity. So, the Addie and Josefina dolls have been cubed. Kaya isn't cubed, but they haven't made anything new for her in this, in at least since I've been collecting, which granted is only a few years, but I haven't seen any new items come out for her collection. Claudie was not hyped at all prior to her release. I've seen way more about the twins. I saw the silhouette thing that they put up in the store in New York that was leaked. We've been seeing leaks of the dolls, their entire collection. They're not out for, I mean, this was several weeks in advance, and we didn't see any of that. We didn't see AG hyping them like they did with putting this silhouette out. In fact, when Claudie came out, it was around the time that they were doing those little yearbook photo things, like most likely to whatever, on their social media and on their web page. They could have easily done a silhouette of Claudie and said, most likely to, I don't know, take 2022 by storm. I don't know, something. But a lot of people felt like there was not much hype for her to begin with, and then she was buried by the Harry Potter collaboration release and the release of 20-something new dolls when they did the Truly Me revamp. What else? There has never been an Asian historical character. There's been a friend, but never an Asian historical character or a Muslim character. The Addie mold has all but been removed from the Truly Me line, so they're down to one doll that has the Addie mold there. They've never used the Addie mold for a named character since Addie. I don't know if that's true of any other mold that's been around as long as it has. The textured hair option has been changed over time so that it's less textured. The range of hair types offered for American Girl's black dolls is limited. The only Jess mold currently available from American Girl has blue eyes and blonde hair. LGBTQ representation is lacking. Disability representation is lacking. For people who really value diverse representation and see it being prioritized by other brands, ironically like Barbie, which is owned by Mattel as well, but Barbie and Harper Iman and even Disney, some are really frustrated with the slower, more tentative strides that American Girl has been making. And again, some people, when they're frustrated by those things, they voice their objections, they make their suggestions, and they remain on board. And others reach a point where they decide, like, I don't owe this company that much loyalty, deuces. So that could be a reason. This should not be like a controversial one. Like I said, I know some of these are. The more stringent return policy. So when I started collecting just a few years ago, you could return any product like a doll or even an outfit for up to 2 years, which is a long time. Like, that was an amazing return policy. So before the comments fill up with, you couldn't get that from any other company. By the way, you could from, I don't know if it's still the case, but when I worked at REI, you could get a return for life on many products. Anyway, it may not be the norm, but that's exactly what set American Girl apart, was you could trust in the quality, and if there was a quality issue, you could know, like, I'm going to have time to bring it back. And that got cut pretty soon after I started collecting, in half, like immediately. It went from 2 years to 1 year. Again, you can say it's still a generous return policy, but it's also a 50% cut. And then I don't remember how much time afterwards, but it went from 1 year to 3 months, which is a 75% cut from the thing that was already cut in half. So now it says, if for any reason you don't like your product, we'll try to find a way to make it right with an exchange, merchandise credit, or refund for purchases within 90 days. Be assured we'll do our very best to take care of you, but from time to time, we will not accommodate a return. So if I'm reading that, there's no explanation of why we will not. It doesn't even say we will not be able to. It says we will not accommodate a return. So I would want to know more if I'm like, I don't know. Even as a customer, me, I'm like, I kind of wish I could know a little bit more because I don't know why, especially with the CYOs, like, I'm hesitant to order another CYO from American Girl because I don't know why you're saying you won't accommodate a return. Is this just arbitrary? Does it depend on who I get that day? It would be nice to have it more spelled out. And then they do, of course, have a whole lot of exceptions like Janie and Jack, Harry Potter, the Sapphire Splendor, CYO. They've just a lot of things are all sales final. So unless you can find a defect significant enough to convince them that it's defective, like all sales final. So yeah, I think going from 2 years to 90 days in a relatively short time is enough to make people decide, you know, I was paying a lot, but I also had the peace of mind of knowing they had this amazing return policy. If they're going to scrap that, it's going to be like everywhere else, I might just take my dollars elsewhere. And then I've got just 2 more points or 2 more things that came to mind. These are in random order, but the higher threshold for free shipping. So I know that I have learned that before I started collecting a few years prior, there was no like standard policy of if you spend this much, you get free shipping. They would do that occasionally as a promotion, and it must have done well because they decided to make it a standing policy. But when I joined, the policy was if you spend $125 on online orders, you get free shipping, period. And then in the time that I've been collecting, it went up to 135, and then it went up to 140, and now it's 150. Plus they added this surcharge for any item that they feel is like a larger item. So even though you like met the threshold, it's still not free because you met it by buying a large thing. So you're still going to pay $25. I'm not saying that this is unreasonable, right? I'm just saying that for people who had gotten into American Girl in more recent years, or even people who've been into it for a while and just were like, yay, free shipping, I'm so glad. I think that that can be a turnoff. And if the combination of, I was used to being able to go into my local store, then they closed it, but at least I could get free shipping pretty easily, and now they keep bumping that up. And maybe it's not even that it's gone up so much, it's that it's gone up so many times. 125, 135, 140, 150. It's starting to feel like, what's next? How much is it going to be next time? When are they going to change it again? So I think that's maybe a reason. Is that one thing alone enough to make people jump ship? Maybe not. I don't know. Depends on your finances. But probably not in combination with other things. Could it account for some dip in sales? Yes. And then the last thing I have, this is probably like a minor point, but it occurred to me, is that it seems like there's been an increase in them doing collaborations. And it also, this doesn't just seem like, I did a little homework. When they're doing the collaborations, the products tend to be more expensive, which makes sense. You're working with somebody else. They want to make their money off of it too. So you added in another middleman, the price is going to go up. So some examples. I just compared the Love Shack Fancy Collection and the current Rainbow and something, the Spring Mix and Match of 2023. So the 3 tops in Love Shack Fancy Collection were $18, $18, and $16. And the 3 tops in the Janie and Jack one were $20, $14, and $14. Comparing the 3 tops in this collection to $16, $12, and $10. So $18, $18, $16, $20, $14, $14, $16, $12, and $10. The current Mix and Match collection is not a collaboration, and it is objectively cheaper than both the Janie and Jack and Love Shack Fancy collections. Same with shoes. The Love Shack Fancy shoes were $16 each. Janie and Jack were $16 and $12, and both of the shoes in the current collection are $10. So 16, 16, 16, 12, 10, and 10. Skirts, same, $20 for each of the skirts in the Love Shack Fancy, $14 for each of them in Janie and Jack, and then this current collection, it's $14 and $12. So again, objectively, things get a little more pricey when they're doing collaborations, and they seem to be doing collaborations more frequently. So if you you know, it adds up, I guess is my point. So that might be enough. And some people love the collaboration, some people don't, just on like aesthetic, but financially, some people might be frustrated that that means I keep paying extra because you decided to do a collaboration. Just do your own thing and let me save a little money. There may be other things that occur to you. You're welcome to drop them in the comments. Again, not meant to be controversial. I was just thinking, why on a personal level might people choose to leave the brand? Again, they could have their own, like, not on a personal level. Why things related to the brand might cause them to. On a personal level, they might have, like, we have a financial crisis going, there was a layoff in our household, my kids got out of it and they're on to Squishmallows or whatever. But on a, like, no, this is because of something the brand is doing that I'm deciding to take my dollars elsewhere. Those were the things that occurred to me right off the top of my head. So if you want to share additional reasons, or are any of these reasons causing you to spend less? Again, if it gets to like too much diversity, you're probably on the wrong channel, let's be honest. But some of the other things, like if they're causing you to spend less because you're not going to buy a new doll from them because they have the painted lashes or something like that, share those in the comments. All right. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. For me, it's a Saturday morning. I don't know what time you're watching this, but hope you have a lovely day, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.